This is AgriTalk Africa, the podcast that puts farmers first. We go beyond the headlines to bring you authentic conversations with people driving change in African agribusiness. From financial literacy to climate-smart farming, from the challenges of rural financing to the triumphs of innovation. We educate, we inform, and we inspire. Welcome to AgriTalk Africa, where agriculture meets action.
Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of AgriTalk Africa. This is a podcast that puts farmers first. I'm your host, Penjani Nzima, also known as Uncle P. And on today's show, we are putting into perspective innovative solutions that are driving agriculture on the continent. Of course, these are solutions that will definitely put our farmers into good position where climate change is concerned, because as far as you know, climate change has ravaged our farming systems for a very long time. And I'm super excited this morning to be joined by Dr. Bulaya, who is going to put into context these innovative solutions. Simply put, we are talking about regenerative agriculture. Doc, it's my pleasure to welcome you on the show today.
Thank you so much, Uncle P. It's my pleasure to participate in your program. Very, very important program that is impacting many lives of our farmers out there.
I love the part where you call me Uncle P. Certainly, that's who I am. Doc, first things first.
Yes.
Who is Dr. Bulaya?
Yes, I'm an enterprising person in terms of involvement in the agricultural sector. That's where my passion is. So yes. Oliver Bulaya has been a person that has been involved actually in the promotion of climate-smart agriculture for 24 years. Yeah, I've worked, for Lonro. That's the genesis of where I'm coming from in 1996. And then I also have worked with the conservation farming unit for quite a long time, I think around 17 years. Mm-hmm. So all in all is in the promotion of climate-smart agriculture. I've done quite a lot of studies in terms of helping how best do we deliver this information. So I've done management courses, I've done agriculture-related courses from undergraduate to postgraduate, and I've done my PhD in development studies, and I'm also doing more of the studies in climate change related at postgraduate levels. I'm also a teacher, a lecturer, involved in also teaching, impacting the new generation in the area of some of these intervention passionately with conservation agriculture.
Okay, well put. That's a very rich CV, and of course, it gives us the confidence that climate change will definitely be handled adequately. Now, Doc, for the sake of our viewers who might be watching us today, regenerative agriculture could be a new term that probably they are hearing it for the very first time. Just briefly explain just what is regenerative agriculture.
Thank you so much. First of all, I think it is important to have a beginning. Where are we coming from? Where is agriculture coming from? It's in Eden. For us, we are Christians. And actually, I'm a pastor also. One thing I forgot to mention. This is the background where I'm coming from. And it gives me the impetus to serve the people of Zambia and the world in terms of promoting agriculture. Sustainable agriculture means. We are coming from the Eden. That's where agriculture started from. Everything was set, and God gave the responsibility to Adam to tend land. In short, to take care, of land. And over time, we've seen quite a number of activities that have been done to do with land, especially where agriculture is concerned, and even many other enterprises. We've seen the coming in of the degradation of land, because of climate change, the event that we are experiencing now. Over some time in 60s, 70s, early 80s, this was news. We were hearing about climate change, from other perspective, especially in the international world. But now it is here with us. We are seeing the effects of climate change. So when we are talking about regenerative, we are talking about what we have lost because of these technologies that have come in place, because of synthetic fertilizers, for example, because of conventional tillage, systems. Because we want to do more. We want to get much more from the land, and we are getting less from the land because of soil degradation, moisture, challenges, rainfall challenges, soil nutritional challenges, and so on. So when we are talking about regenerative, it is embedded on three important key things that we can talk about. Number one is to restore the soil nutrition. So in terms of the farmers' engagement in whatever agriculture systems, they need to look at the essence of soil nutrition. Is very important. So regenerative is restoring or recovering the soil nutrition. We are also talking about enhancing soil biodiversity. One thing we need to understand is this, that soil is a living thing. There is life under the ground, under the soil. There is life, the microbes and all those things. They are very, very pertinent in terms of enhancing agriculture productivity. So we are talking about enhancing soil biodiversity. And lastly, we are talking about improving ecosystem resilience. Under this ecosystem, we are talking about the environment itself. So these are key pertinent areas that regenerative agriculture is talking about.
Okay, well put, Doc. Doc, there is what is also known as conservation agriculture. And now on this show, we are talking about regenerative agriculture. Is there any distinction between the two? If there is, kindly run us through.
Yes, there are so many technologies. For us that have been in this sector, for example, under conservation farming unit for 28 years, we've served our farmers. There are so many terminologies that have come in place. The first word that was known by many of the farmers was conservation farming or conservation agriculture. All these have different patterns, or what is associated to conservation farming, or what is associated to conservation agriculture. But all in all, what we want to see are the results on the ground, not necessarily the terminologies. These terminologies, sometimes they just confuse the farmers. But when you talk about regenerative agriculture, like I've explained, you are talking about conservation agriculture. Conservation agriculture is to do also with how do we conserve our farming activities? How do we use our resources effectively to attain, optimum yields. So in this conservation agriculture, it is embedded on three principles, and one of it is minimum tillage. Like I gave an example where we are coming from. Many of our farmers were associated to conventional tillage, and the history in Zambia tell us that when we look at our brothers from the southern province, they are farmers from the beginning. And actually, they were the first people that utilized actually what we refer to as a plow. They were the first people that knew how to use the plow in the history of Zambia. So there are detrimental effects that are coming with the usage of plows, which is associated to traditional kind of farming, or which is associated to conventional tillage. So now, because of the event of climate change, so conservation farming is coming in to ensure, number one, that we look at issues to do with the minimum tillage. Minimum tillage is based on number one, what is referred to as also what is this? Conservation farming, or reduced kind of farming, in the sense that a farmer will not do the overall plowing or overall digging, but they will put their seeds in the particular portions where they've dug in terms of basin making to those farmers that are using hose. And to those farmers that are using oxen, they will use what is referred to as oxen-driven reapers to make furrows exactly where they would want to plant. Also the term I wanted to use that I forgot is precision kind of farming. Yes, where a farmer will use basins, a farmer will use ox-drawn reapers, a farmer will use tractor-drawn reapers. So from the time we began, we started with hoe farmers because there were no reapers. But the technology has extended to also using ox-drawn and also tractor-drawn reapers. These implements are available this time around to enhance production and productivity. So conservation is based on minimum tillage. Conservation farming is based on crop rotation. Farmers do much more in the past monocropping, growing of maize year in, year out. But we are bringing in an aspect of soil nutrition, which is critical. So how do we maintain soil nutrition? Is to ensure that farmers should do the crop rotation. So crop rotation is where farmers who are growing maize, these are cereals. Farmers who are growing cotton are heavy feeders. Farmers who are growing these other cash crops, they can crop rotate, with legumes. Legumes, we are referring to cowpea, we are referring to beans, we are referring to soya beans and many pigeon peas and many others to retain soil nutrition. The other last principle is residue retention. Residue retention to ensure that our farmers do not burn the fields, do not burn the residues, the remainings. When you harvest the maize, the remainings should remain in the field. So those are residues. So conservation farming is part, again, of climate smart agriculture, which is a broader perspective. Talking about all these integrated aspects of farming, livestock, fish farming, all these things. But under this section, we have conservation agriculture, which is also integrated or related to regenerative agriculture. Yes, please.
Yeah, Doc, well put. And of course, I love the distinction that you have set out between conservation agriculture and regenerative agriculture. Just like I did say in my preamble that we are focusing on regenerative agriculture as one of the innovative solutions defining agriculture right here on the continent of Africa. Doc, what are the core principles that define regenerative agriculture? If you can just run us through in those.
Yes, just like I mentioned in my preamble also, one of the core principles is microbial activity. Microbial activity, we are referring to the life under the ground, the microbes under the soils. How do we enhance their activity, for soil nutrition and all that? So one key principle is soil health. Very, very important. A farmer, even if they use synthetic fertilizers, we are talking about decompound urea. These are common synthetic fertilizers our smallholder farmers actually use. We need to look at what is the process? What is involved in this? These nutrients, these synthetic fertilizers feed the soil. And it's the soil that feeds the plant. It's as simple as all that. So now we are talking about how do we maintain soil health. This is very key, especially where conservation agriculture is concerned, or climate smart agriculture is concerned, or regenerative agriculture is concerned, because it's talking about restoring soil health. So that is a key. We are also other important principle is the same like I mentioned, is on biodiversity, promoting crop and livestock systems. So we are looking at a situation where when farmers grow certain crops, they need to diversify their farming endeavors, so that we enhance soil health. Actually, there is one terminology which is very critical, and it's referred to in certain aspects as One Health, principle in terms of farming. Livestock, depends on agriculture.
Exactly.
Human beings depend on agriculture, and all these different aspects depend on the soil. So how do we use the soil biodiversity, the soil and the biodiversity to ensure that we gain what we want to gain, from the soil? This is one of the major core principles. And actually, other very important core principle is water management, efficient water management. You've brought up a very good, discussion today, because the government is emphasizing issues of irrigation. Quite a number of large-scale farmers and also smallholder farmers are engaging into irrigation. How do we use these resources? Because if we don't use the water efficiently, it means that, and even underground water will be depleted in one way or the other. So what we do with the ecosystem or with the environment, what we do with the soil, what we do with the biodiversity and the ecosystem resilience is very important, because it plays a major role also to secure, the future of the agricultural sector. So I think in a nutshell, these are very key principles, especially where regenerative core principles are concerned. And I think the last one, which is also critical also, is agroforestry. Agroforestry is very important. It's part and parcel of regenerative agriculture, where our farmers, for example, we look at the rivers.
Yes, Doc.
I was born in 1970s. That time, when you visit the rivers, there were trees all over the rivers. Those trees were very important, because they preserved the water, even the underground water, systems. Even when it rains, it helps also to cushion the impact of water, evaporation, and all that. So these vegetation are very important. Now look at a situation now. Do we have trees along these dams that we are building? Do we have trees along these water sources, the rivers, the oceans, the lakes that we have around our communities? Trees have been depleted. They've been cut.
Where have they gone?
Charcoal burning and many other utilizations. That's a situation where, even in terms of wood logging, they call it logging. Wood logging. I'm sorry, I may not explain this appropriately. Cutting trees, for woodworks and all that. So all these associated to detrimental effects that is affecting, our environment. So we need to recover this.
Doc, the part where you were talking about the trees that we cannot see today really makes sad reading.
Yes.
Because that has contributed so much to climate change.
Yes.
That which has brought a lot of devastating impact, more especially on the agriculture sector. Not only on agriculture, but also other sectors have also been impacted negatively by climate change. This is AgriTalk Africa, and of course, the podcast that put farmers first. Just like I did tell you in my preamble, we are looking at regenerative agriculture, and my guest today is Dr. Bulaya, who is a climate advocate as well as a champion for sustainable agriculture. Doc, let's put something into perspective. In as much as we are talking about climate change, which is not just a myth, but it is something that is real, and we've seen the negative impact. Why is regenerative agriculture important in the face of climate change? More especially for smallholder farmers, it could be right here in Zambia or just across the continent.
Yes, this is a very important, a technology, that we have to promote. Actually, we need to emphasize that we need to align some of the Ministry of Agriculture policies in terms of enhancing regenerative agriculture or climate smart agriculture. We have frameworks there at the Ministry of Agriculture. I think we need just to push for this to ensure that this is promoted promoted.
Yes.
We don't need funding to promote some of these issues from our cooperating partners, because these are the problems that we are facing as a country. If we don't do anything now, meaning that we are affected, as a country in terms of food production output. So I think the importance is to look at the future. If we don't take actions now, how are we going to look at the future of our children, our grandchildren, so that what we do now, it is something that will be able to support, to sustain, the future generations. So regenerative agriculture is important. Looking at the challenges that we are facing now, we need food.
Yes.
We need food. That's why agriculture is very pertinent. We need food. We cannot be doctors without food. We cannot have nurses without food. We cannot have ministers, governments without food. So food is very important. So regenerative agriculture is very important in the sense that we need to protect the environment where we are. In terms of whatever activities that we are doing, the mining sector, whatever activities they are doing, it should not be something that should pollute the water sources. It should not be something that should, disadvantage, our environment in terms of improper usage of some of these important, natural resources, that we have. So regenerative agriculture is important in terms of ensuring that we protect our environment and ensuring that despite the challenges of climate change that we are facing, we are able to feed ourselves.
Yes.
We are able to live a healthy life because of the interventions that are prevailing with, the usage of regenerative agriculture.
Well put, Doc. And of course, with such explanations, it brings a lot of hope to our farmers out there. Doc, many times when you are doing your conversations, you talk about healing the land. And regenerative agriculture certainly does take that route of healing the land. In terms of practicality, on a small farm like here in Zambia or across the continent, how does this happen?
Yes, healing land or restoring the biodiversity or soil nutrition, all these are embedded, in one thing. We are looking at how best do we engage ourselves as farmers in doing our activity, taking care of the environment, taking care of the soil, taking care of the biodiversity. We always advise our smallholder farmers to say that your offices, is the soil. That is the office of a farmer. Just as we have offices as directors and all that, the office of a farmer is the soil. So I think the practices that farmers do should always remind them that these practices that I'm doing, are they adding value to the soil, to the environment, to the biodiversity? So we need to do this by ensuring that we promote issues of also organic, farming, taking advantage of also compositing, compost, usage, manuring of our farms, and also ensuring that we take advantage of some of the very important or pertinent, seeds, that adds value, to the soil in terms of legumes. So actually, this technology is not only for smallholder farmers. It's only that this is the largest percentage in our country. Even the large-scale farmers. In the country, the government is promoting issues of sustainability of the agricultural sector. So even the large-scale farmers, the military wings who are involved in agriculture in Zambia should do all those activities embedded on a regenerative agriculture. So practically, this means using methods like agroforestry, mulching, organic fertilization, and all that to enhance soil structure and also fertility of the soils at every farm level.
Okay. Well put, and I believe this is not just meant for small-scale farmers. The talk has clearly put it that it's meant for all the farmers, regardless of the size of the farm or what type of a farmer you are. Doc, when we are talking about regenerative agriculture, this term sounds kind of expensive, lack of a better term. Are there some low-cost ways on how our farmers can involve themselves and undertake regenerative agriculture?
Thank you so much. Under regenerative agriculture, we have climate smart agriculture, and climate smart agriculture is pushing issues of adaptation and mitigation.
Yes,
and regenerative is looking at a broader perspective of restoration of the soil. So there are practices that are very, very important, in these aspects that our farmers, can engage in. Previously, we used to do this. We used to see how our farmers used to do the intercropping, for example.
Yes.
But this time around, because of usage of these weed killers, we've seen that many of our farmers can't do, because weed killers are selective for maize or for legumes. So farmers can't do intercropping. So we are saying that this approach is very simple, in the sense, for example, a farmer will engage into low-cost, practices such as the tillage systems plays a very important role, as opposed to over-row digging, plowing, which is very expensive and associated to high cost of fuel usage. A farmer will use reaping, for example, where the tractor will just reap, make furrows, where a farmer will do the planting, which is reduced tillage, and the rest of the land will remain the way it is. So if you compare the cost associated to regenerative agriculture, the cost associated to climate smart agriculture is minimal than the traditional kind of doing things, or the traditional kind of farming. We have high costs associated to fuel in terms of a farmer using, for example, a tractor.
Yes.
If fuel is expensive and it takes many hours, for example, to prepare land, just a hectare, it will take, many hours, 3 hours and above. But now when you look at a farmer who is reaping a 1 hectare, which is 1 hour to 30 minutes, that hectare is done. So the cost, the timing associated to this also. So these are the benefits that are associated to this kind of farming. And farmers should compare the benefits they get out of it. This is why you see that many farmers cry foul, especially to the prices of the commodities, especially maize.
Yes.
If the Food Reserve Agency is buying maize, for example, at $3.40, some of the farmers will say this is expensive. But this is very low compared to the cost associated to the input, put into agriculture or interventions. Yes. But let's look at a farmer who is using regenerative agriculture. They will use less resources and get more. And actually, the challenge we are facing now is the low yield associated to per unit area. For example, a farmer is able to get 60, to 80 bags in a hectare, for example, when they're supposed to get to 200. To 240 bags or 50, based on the seed technology that is involved this time around. So why are the farmers getting less? Is because of the poor methods of farming. So regenerative comes in to restore the farming endeavors, so that our farmers should change the way of doing things and pay attention to the practices they are doing. And when they engage into conservation agriculture, which is part of regenerative agriculture, or which is part of climate smart agriculture, in this sense, they'll be able to raise the production levels and push, the production levels per unit area, of which a farmer can get more than they put in. And I think these are the benefits that are associated, to regenerative agriculture.
Certainly, well put, Doc. Just in terms of numeric values, because you spoke about the low yields that our farmers are currently undergoing, in as much as they're using synthetic fertilizers. This has been going on for a very long time.
Yes.
Of course, they're also using these hybrid seeds. Yes. And you discover to say, any new seed which comes on the market, they would say the yield potential will be probably 6 tons, 8 tons. But at the end of it all, these farmers cannot attain that tonnage. In terms of numerical ratios, how is the yield potential of a farmer when they switch to regenerative agriculture per hectare?
Yes.
How is that?
Yes, we've quite a number of farmers actually who can testify to this. Some of them you've actually interviewed them and covered them under your organization. A farmer roughly gets about 1.2 tons in a hectare.
Yes, Doc.
And when a farmer engages into this regenerative agriculture, currently we have farmers who've pushed their yield potential to 4 tons.
Okay.
Which is not good also, but they've started to see the benefits of these activities, because you can't recover the soil nutrition in one season.
Okay.
It takes consecutive years.
Yes.
But the starting point is minimum tillage. Coming on, with the incorporation of residue retention, coming in with the legumes, coming in with these issues of agroforestry. When we are talking about agroforestry, we are talking about issues of planting some leguminous trees. That also helps to add nutrients to the soil. We are talking about musangu or tree local name, which is obaida. What is this? Fidebia obaida. Yes, we are also talking about Glericidia and many others, Sesban or something like that. All these are very important, trees that have been identified by experts, in the agricultural sector, researchers, to help our farmers push, their yield, potential. So we can push to, currently farmers are on 4 to 5, tons, others on 6, tons, without using much of these synthetic fertilizers. But talking about the principles of conservation agriculture, regenerative agriculture, our farmers are able to push the yield potential. So we can do more, on this aspect. And you brought in one important aspect of the new technology in terms of seed companies.
Yes.
When we are talking about regenerative agriculture or climate smart agriculture or conservation agriculture, actually, we are not saying we do away with these latest innovations. These researchers are playing a major role to ensure that our farmers become productive and competitive despite the challenges of climate change. So the seed technologies in terms of hybrids are playing a major role actually to cushion the impact of low productivity, because some of these gankata, the traditional seed cannot do because of climate change. The rainfall patterns, the rainfall periods are shortened and all that. So we are looking at some of these technologies our experts are bringing in terms of seed companies that are well, competitive. So using the technologies of regenerative agriculture and the latest seed development technologies, farmers can push, But what we are saying that in all these, legumes and agroforestry should be part of agriculture to recover the soil health.
Doc, you see, when you are just explaining the issue of hybrid seeds as to how they can be incorporated in regenerative agriculture, I was just thinking at the back of my mind, I said, do we also see pesticides and herbicides being incorporated in regenerative agriculture? What's your take on this, Doc?
Yes. Generally, what are the effects of this? For us as conservation farming, we've done actually, starting from 90s, we've been the first organization in Zambia because the usage of pesticides and weed killers, have been mainly promoted, by the large scale farmers. And the time CFU came on board, those packages were actually in 20 liters, for large-scale farmers. So we started teaching farmers. What did we do? We brought in an expert, that helped us to understand, some of the toxicity levels of these pesticides or herbicides. What we are saying is that when we are using these things, when we need to use them with precaution. Because the time we came in actually with conservation farming, the weed pressure was one of the challenges with our smallholder farmers. And actually farmers were saying, no, we can't get into conservation agriculture because of weed pressure. Why? Because with conservation farming, you start land preparation early.
Yeah.
This time around, our farmers are harvesting. They need to plan ahead and start land preparation, making basins or reaping this time around. When the rain comes, this is one benefit of regenerative agriculture. When the rain comes, is planting. It's not start preparing land like conventional people do. No, because the period of rainfall is shortened.
Yes.
So farmers should use all these activities within a short period of time. So what we are saying now is this, that there are these technologies in terms of weed pressure. Farmers started failing. So we identified some of the chemicals that are not too toxic.
Yes.
To the soil. Because some of these pesticide or residue retention will alter, the soil status in terms of some of the microbes and all that. They alter the performance of these things. You understand? So when we do that, we are not promoting regenerative agriculture. Actually, our activity is detrimental to soil nutrition or the biodiversity or the environment.
Yes.
You spray the animals, you contaminate the water, the animals die, people are affected, people are sick. So we need, actually, you've brought up a very, very big question. We need to innovate. Okay. We need to move with technology. Experts help us to come up with some of the pesticides that are not toxic to the environment, that are not toxic,
that are
environmentally friendly. Thank you. You are an expert in this. That are environmentally friendly. This can be done. We have some that we've identified as conservation farming, because we don't want to use some of these weed killers, for example, that will prohibit issues of crop rotation.
Yes, Doc.
Because some of these, the retention level, for example, let me give an example. You use what is this chemical that has a residue retention of 24 to 36 months in the soil.
Okay.
It's so, it's a chemical that is selective to maize. Weed killer selective to maize, but the retention is 24, 36. Is that okay? It's not okay, because a farmer will not do the crop rotation.
Yes.
So we have to look at some of these weed killer or herbicides or pesticides that are not detrimental, to the microbes, to biodiversity, to soil health and all that. So we need to innovate in this. Much has not been done, but we are seeing transitioning. We are seeing that we are moving in that direction, and we call upon our experts to expand this and to promote some of the latest, herbicides, for example, and pesticides that are not toxic, to our environment.
So in other words, you're simply saying, let herbicides or pesticides that are environmental friendly, that which will not disturb the ecosystem, be promoted.
Excellent. We need to do much more in that aspect.
This is AgriTalk Africa, and of course, we are looking at regenerative agriculture. My guest, just like I did tell you, is Dr. Bulaya. He happens to be an advocate for climate change, as well as a champion in terms of sustainable agriculture, not only here in Zambia, but also across the continent of Africa. Of course, probably even overseas.
Yes.
Doc, when a new practice is being introduced, it is received with mixed feelings. Just like we are talking about regenerative agriculture today. Most of these small-scale farmers might not embrace it there and then. From your own understanding, where you are today, what do you think has been the biggest hindrance or the biggest barriers that you have encountered in terms of regenerative agriculture being embraced by our farmers? I'm saying our farmers. I don't want to zero in on the small-scale farmers, because just like you did say, this is meant for all types of farmers. So what has been the biggest barrier?
I think When we began as conservation farming unit in 1996, actually, maybe Uncle P, I may mention that when we are talking about climate smart agriculture, we are talking about conservation agriculture, regenerative agriculture.
Yes, Doc.
These are new technologies, but they can't alter what the farmers have been doing in the past. This has been there.
Yes.
Actually, our parents, this is why our parents, our grandmothers, were able to give birth to 15, 18 children. It was okay.
Yes.
Uncle P, if I ask you how many children do you have, you tell me, I may have 2 or 3. The issue is not being enlightened and all that. It's poverty levels. Our parents used to feed. They were able to manage, to feed all of us.
And of course, Doc, how were they managing?
Because they had plenty food.
Yeah.
Small portions. You see, Uncle P, if you remember, our parents used to have a portion of maize, a portion of cowpea, pigeon pea. They used to do this in the farming long time ago without these technologies and all that. And they were comfortable. They were able to send children to school. Life was okay. The rainfall is coming 15th. That time when we started conservation farming, 15th November, plant. We were advising farmers. Exactly October 15th, farmers can plant. The rainfall come. Our old fathers, our grandmas were managing. So with the poverty levels, because of how we've altered these important things, now we are saying we are learned. Me, I will just have 2 children and so on. No, the issue is that we do not have enough food to feed our children and also resources to sustain our children. So the barrier is been that we had we were like a loner voice as conservation farming unit. Then in 1996, we were alone, but we worked together with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Zambia National Farmers Union, and today we have many other voices. The issue here is this, that we need concerted efforts to push the agenda of regenerative agriculture and copy. When I'm talking about this, I talk about this with passion because I know this is my life. Actually, as an expert in this area and also as a servant of God, I believe we have a responsibility to push issues of environmental protection. This is very important. So we need concerted efforts. I'm happy this time around the seed companies are also promoting regenerative agriculture. When you talk about Bayer, they are also working with conservation farming units. Sidico, these other, Corteva, you talk about all these, Synergy, they are working with conservation farming unit and they are promoting actually issues of regenerative agriculture, which is a good sign. We need also to speak the same language. We are not competing with anyone. We want to push the agenda of regenerative agriculture in Zambia and across the world to ensure that we convert challenges that are coming ahead. Is it 2050? We are expected the population to surge. Yes. But let's look at the output from the sector. Let's give an example of Zambia. How much are we adding in line with the GDP? What is it coming from the agriculture sector? Less than 10%. Can't we push to 20%? Can't we push to 30%? Because we have water availability, we have good land, we have experts. Actually, Zambia has experts. Every day I learn from experts in the agricultural sector. Professors, doctors, diplomas, degree. We have learned people that myself I learn from each day as we push this agenda of agriculture. So we need concerted effort in this aspect by the government, the private sector. We need to push. This is the agenda we have. The NGOs in Zambia, like Conservation Farming Unit, we prime on the support from the cooperating partners. But look at the issue now. We have the biggest, supporter to the regenerative agriculture, which is, USA, pushing away, from USAID, going away from these, closing, their interventions. What do? We are, as NGOs, depending on the private sector. Let the private sector identify these players, the NGOs that are pushing the agenda of the Zambia agricultural production and productivity, and support us. We need finances from the banks. We need finances from the banking communities. These are models that should help us to push this agenda, because the NGOs are playing a major role in terms of pushing this issue. But the barrier is being finances. We are not everywhere.
Yes,
CFU is just in isolated districts or provinces. The Minister of Agriculture is everywhere. The communities that are engaged in agriculture everywhere. So let's see how we can support our farmers to push this agenda of regenerative agriculture. By all the players coming on board, we speak the same language. I've been doing a research of which I will be defending tomorrow, actually, with one of the universities. I've been doing another postgraduate. And one area that I've been looking at, when you look at these areas where we are in the districts, who are pushing the agenda of regenerative agriculture? Are we working as a team in those various districts? Do we have models in those districts that are integrated, where we work together in synergies, in collaborations to push this agenda of regenerative agriculture? I speak about it passionately because I believe in this. I think this is the biggest barrier that we are having as a country, because we are working in silos. We are working in isolation. So we need to work as one and push this agenda of regenerative agriculture in Zambia.
Doc, I love the energy that you're bringing forth, the passion, and of course, the massive knowledge on regenerative agriculture. Just like you, when you were doing your explanation, you spoke about in the districts. Do we have anyone championing this cause? What came to my mind was we have extension services from the government. And my line of thought is, in terms of government policy, how is it working with regenerative agriculture? Is it supportive, or farmers are taking a lonely walk in this? How is government policy? Is it supportive on regenerative agriculture?
Very much. The government is been supporting. Actually, all the governments that we've, but this is the sixth government we're in, or seventh government. Our president is the seventh Republican president. The past three presidents have pushed this agenda of regenerative agriculture, and where we are now, based on climate smart agriculture. Actually, we have even policies, in that regard, in terms of climate smart agriculture, which is also, like I mentioned, related, pushing the agenda of regenerative agriculture. We need to push more to realign, some of these important, steps that are very pertinent in terms of pushing this agenda. Like you mentioned, the Minister of Agriculture is there and is everywhere. They may not be specialized in some of these interventions. We have specialized units like Conservation Farming Unit and others that work together with the Minister of Agriculture, actually, in terms of pushing this agenda. We have the Minister of Agriculture also funded by other cooperating partners in terms of agro. I think they're pushing issues of climate smart agriculture all over the country. These are good indications. But I think my issue here is this, that we have the DACO's office based in various districts. Sometimes they are not aware of what is happening in the districts because the private sector or the NGOs work in isolation. Let me give an example. Conservation Farming Unit is part of Climate Smart Agriculture Alliance. Actually, CFU is the chairman of Climate Smart Agriculture Alliance in Zambia, promoting issues of regenerative agriculture. And we have also the Minister of Agriculture, which is the secretariat. But to operationalize some of these activities, they need funding. They are silent because there is no money. So I think there must be funding from the government of Zambia in the budget.
Yes, Doc.
Let there be funding that is directed towards, propagating issues of regenerative agriculture. This is very important. This is our country. We shouldn't depend on the cooperating partners. So even as the government, for example, puts resources to FISIP, FISIP is colossal sums of money.
Certainly.
in that. Why can't they put resources? Actually, FISIP is getting more resources than even research and development.
Yes.
We are not supporting them. But these are the people that can push all these interventions to higher levels. The government is providing issues of CEEC, supporting the farmers, mechanization, SAF, financing facilities, supporting farmers and all those things. Without the technocrats in terms of researchers, without the extension delivery, being effective, all this will not yield much more results. So we need to push resources into regenerative agriculture, supported by the Minister of Agriculture, supported by the government, putting resources directed to climate smart agriculture, propagation, working with the private sector, the NGOs. I think we can do much more better than just putting some of these interventions on paper, but on delivery, we are failing to reach out, to our farmers in terms of sustainability of the agricultural sector, which is embedded on regenerative agriculture.
Doc, you've spoken about the government involvement into this issue of regenerative agriculture. There's also the private sector. What role do you think the private sector and climate finance can play to increase, or rather to make regenerative agriculture grow? What role can they play? The private sector as well as the climate finance. What is it that they can do to make sure that regenerative agriculture grows?
Thank you, Uncle Pete. This is a very important, question. The government provides a vision or provides objectives or roadmap. They cannot do everything. But the private sector have a bigger role, actually, to play in this area in terms of ensuring that they respond to the challenges the farmers are facing. One example that I can mention is the government to provide a thriving environment for investment in these sectors. This year, we opened Mataba seed plant under Bayer. This is good. This is government providing that environment for them to provide seeds that are resilient. To climate change, which is good. They are responding to that. So we need also the private sector to respond. The government provides this environment. Let them respond, especially in the area of tools or equipment that are very pertinent in terms of enhancing these issues of regenerative agriculture, which is based on tillage systems that protect the environment and the biodiversity and all that. This is why I also pushed on in the area of having integrated models, regenerative models, or climate smart agriculture models in various districts in our country, where the private sector can come in to provide the resources. Advocates like Conservation Farming Unit, the Minister of Agriculture, and others work together in synergies under those models so that we push this agenda of promoting issues of agroforestry. We promote issues of tillage systems, conservation farming, and all that. Because every player, the Minister of fisheries and livestock and fisheries, all those, they are pertinent partners in this. The meteorology, they are pertinent in this. Equipment companies, they are pertinent in this. Seed companies and all that. So we need these models at national level, at provincial level, at district level to ensure that we do not work in isolation. Put resources together. We can see Zambia turning around. Otherwise, we can push this agenda of production and productivity. The government is pushing the agenda of ensuring that by 2027, we raise the production of maize to 10 million metric tons.
Yes.
I need to be corrected if 2027. I think, yes, it should be.
2030 or 2027.
2027 somewhere there.
Yes.
We push, maize to 10 million tons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do we do that minus this? We need to push because the basis for us to produce more is embedded on regenerative agriculture. So the private sector have a bigger role to play to support us, even as we push the agenda of regenerative agriculture.
Well put, Doc. And this is AgriTalk Africa. Certainly, we put farmers first on every podcast or on every of our episodes. And just like I did tell you, today we are looking at regenerative agriculture as one of the innovations that which can change the shape of agriculture, not only here in Zambia, but also across the continent of Africa. My guest is Dr. Bulaya. He is the advocate of climate resilience, as well as he champions sustainable agriculture. So, Doc, you've well explained it that stakeholders don't need to work in silos, but they have to work as one, as a team. Because when we work as a team, we'll certainly win. Now, looking at a bigger picture, Doc, let's look at a bigger picture. Because I know you are a climate smart champion as well as an advocate for the same, not only here in Zambia, but also across the continent. Looking at a bigger picture in terms of Africa at large, if regenerative agriculture was fully embraced in the whole of Africa, Doc, what kind of impact do you envision for our food systems in the next 10 to 20 years, Doc?
Improved, food, systems.
Yes,
we are dependent as Africa from other countries to support us.
Yes.
We are beggars. From the time we became Africa, I don't know when we became Africa. So we are beggars, which is not good. When we have all the resources,
imagine, Doc,
Uncle P, we have all the resources. Some of these guys, they got even minerals from Africa and built their own continents.
Yes.
Why can't we build Africa? The issue, Uncle P, is this, that Africa, we are too much of talking.
Okay.
I am field oriented. Somebody, just when I was in the field, was surprised.
Okay.
I was teaching farmers, guiding them, making basins and so on. I said, Dr. Bulaya, are you really a doctor? Are you really a doctor? I said, what do you mean? Because what you are doing, you're supposed not to do this. You're supposed to sit in the office, manage, and not to teach farmers like this. No. For us philosophers, we believe that we are out there to provide solutions to people, solutions to the continent. Africa can do better if we don't only talk behind our what do you call these fans? These coolers, air cons, air cons, and all that. No, we shouldn't speak behind this. We need to go out there, feel the way farmers feel.
Yes,
face the challenges together with the farmers, and then we can change our Africa. Our Africa is got everything: minerals, water resources, land, and all this. If we stand together as Africa, we can produce more and feed the whole world. We are rich in terms of natural resources.
Yes,
we are rich in terms of all these things. And I don't know, God embedded these blessings in Africa. And we just need to realize as Africans and be action-oriented. We've produced so many theories on paper. We need to put these theories in practice, and then we will produce more. We will produce more in terms of food.
Yes, Doc.
Of nutritional values. Food is not maize. Maize is maize. When we are talking about food, we are talking about food of nutritional value. that will add value. In Africa, we have our children that are deficient in terms of nutrition.
Nutrition, yes.
You get the point. So we need to reach a step where we need to feed ourselves with food systems of nutritional values. We need to increase in terms of output, in terms of production. We need to increase in terms of protecting our environment so that we retain the rainfall that we have lost. We used to have rains on 15th in November. This time around, rains comes in December. Late November, December, actually even end of December.
Yes,
Look at the detrimental effects that have come because of what we have done. Because these effects are to do with humanly actions.
Yes.
We've destroyed our environment. So let's do whatever we can do, every one of us, as a church, experts, the mining sector, policymakers, the government, together we work to recover our environment, and we can do better as Africa.
United we stand, divided we
fall.
Doc, from the best bottom part of your heart, and with the massive knowledge that you have amassed in terms of regenerative agriculture, what would be your top 3 recommendations for the young agripreneurs, as well as those farmers that are climate conscious who are listening to this podcast today? What would be your top 3 recommendations to them?
To the younger men, agriculture is sexy. Let me use their term. Because they understand it so much.
So that you appeal to them.
Appeal to them. It's sexy. Deep down my heart,
yes, Doc,
with all the humility, I've seen younger men economically in agriculture, embedded on climate smart agriculture, regenerative agriculture, doing financially better than even the doc himself. They are able to pay 100 or 10 times pay the doc.
Yes.
Farmers, younger men.
Yes.
I haven't bought a tractor in my lifetime cash.
But
this younger man can go and buy cash a tractor from Saro and Tata and all that. From the showroom, cash.
Yes.
Younger men. So we have some younger men, not all, a few, but some younger men that we've worked with, we've raised at CFU, who wear charcoal banners. One thing I'm telling the younger men is this, that you've told me 3 things. 1, agriculture is sexy. There are challenges, but there is money involved in this.
Okay.
Younger men can do better.
Yes.
Copper comes from the land. Clothes comes from the land. We were created from the land.
Yes.
Minerals comes from the land. Meaning money is there on the land. Utilize the land. It will fulfill all your needs. You get the point.
Yes.
So number 2, we want our entrepreneurs to be focused. Challenges are there in agriculture, but be focused. Let me give an example.
Yes,
for
Doc.
a farmer who is involved, for example, in tomato production, what I've learned from these people is this, that I've grown tomato at my farm.
Okay.
If you grow tomato, just one portion, you sell it, you find it that maybe the prices will not be sexy. It will not be good enough.
Yes.
And you one time when I saw it, the box was at 40 kwacha. It's not good enough. But, you need to be focused in agriculture.
Okay.
These guys, what they do, they have a section of tomato in portions. The other one is growing. The other one, you will not get money from the first selling. You'll get money maybe from the second or from the third portion.
Yes.
Consistency. It is very important to be focused and to be consistent. It's very important, consistency in agriculture. At the end of the day, you get something out of it. Number 3, let our younger men, our women, and every one of us get the knowledge. If you look at me humbly, I've done so many courses. I've done teaching at postgraduate. Not just to sit in the class and teach or lecture, but for the sake of teaching farmers. How best do I offload this information to transform the farmers? Usually when we go out to train our farmers, we go there with all the knowledge. And we want to speak above their heads. We go there and deliver whatever we want to deliver. It will not transform the farmers.
Yes.
So we need to leverage our package, our training package. And how best do you do that? Knowledge. Knowledge. Some people don't have done all these courses. Why have you done all these things? It's to gain knowledge on how best I can manage myself and manage the transmission of that information to farmers, so that at the end of the day, we transform the agricultural sector. So get much more information as it is, especially on regenerative agriculture. It is important, for our farmers. One, I mentioned about agriculture being profitable. That's why I use the term sexy. It's profitable.
Yes.
And two, our younger men should be focused and consistent in whatever they are doing.
Yes.
And number three, get much more knowledge, as much knowledge as you can on regenerative agriculture. Refer it to your livestock sector, refer it to your fishing sector, refer it to whatever you are doing in agriculture. You will be productive in whatever you do.
My people perish for lack of
knowledge.
Knowledge is power.
Yes.
This is AgriTalk Africa, and of course, today we are looking at regenerative agriculture. My guest is Dr. Bulaya. He happens to be the climate advocate, climate resilience advocate, and of course, a champion for climate smart agriculture. Lastly, Doc, before I let you go, because you're still here.
Yes.
How can someone who wants to work with you get in touch with you? Or those that have heard this podcast and they're procrastinating and say, but how do we get hold of Doc? How can we be part of this good work that they are doing? How can we just work with them? How can they work with you?
Thank you so much for that very important question. Conservation Farming Unit is a household name in Zambia. It's been there for 28 years. We'll die, this name will still live on. We are so much passionate about what we do as CFU in terms of leaving the impact. You go to Eastern Provinces, Eastern Province, Northwestern, wherever we've been, all parts of the country, we've left marks in those areas because farmers are still doing, what we informed, what we taught them, together. So we are available. You don't need to pay us. You need to call us, visit us, and then we can see how we can help you into training. We have periodical trainings, funded by our cooperating partners. So I think the best, you can reach out to me as a CFU project coordinator. Then I can link you to our district coordinators in various districts, so that probably they can give you much information as possible wherever you are. But to reach us, you can call us on 0965 23 80 55. 0965 23 80 55. Check on our Facebook page also. We are there, Conservation Farming Unit. You can inbox us and share your whatever query you may have. You can also reach us on our website and see whatever activities that we do.
Probably saving the best for last. Anything, Doc, that you feel of great importance? Maybe it has just come to your mind and you feel to say, I didn't bring out this point. Anything before I let you go?
Thank you so much. I think the emphasis, I may emphasize on this, that we need to push regenerative agriculture is the only way that can push the agenda of production and productivity for our country. And we need our government also to work with all these organizations that are pushing this agenda in collaboration, so that we work together in synergies and to ensure that we propagate issues of regenerative agriculture, which is key, for our country. And thank you so much for hosting me. It's been my pleasure, and I really appreciate AgriCorp, for inviting me to be part of this podcast. And our call to organizations out there is that AgriCorp is doing all they can to push the agenda of regenerative agriculture in Zambia at every sector. Let's support them with all resources, with all the advocates, with all the, we can't move on as a country without your support. So the private sector have a bigger role to ensure that they support the agenda of AgriCorp. Thank you.
Certainly, this has been AgriTalk Africa. And of course, on today's episode, we were looking at regenerative agriculture. My guest has been Dr. Bulaya, and he is the climate resilient advocate as well as a champion for climate smart agriculture. In his explanation, in his insights, in the passion that he gave us, he told us one of the things that regenerative agriculture do is to heal the land. When the land is healed, certainly you are going to have those yields that which you desire. This has been Penjani Nzima, your host with the most. I'm also known as Uncle P. Until we meet again, let's heal the land.
AgriTalk Africa, the podcast that puts farmers first. We go beyond the headlines to bring you authentic conversations with people driving change in African agribusiness. From financial literacy to climate smart farming, from the challenges of rural financing to the triumphs of innovation. We educate, we inform, and we inspire. Welcome to AgriTalk Africa, where agriculture meets action.